to law enforcement in Canada, it was very much like if fentanyl was being produced here and like by the cartels, we would know about it. And it's like, okay, well, I'm talking to this guy tomorrow, so like he's gonna take me to the lab. So I don't know how I got to that point, but
Well, you were saying about the journalists being killed and how, in particularly in the country, there's something called femicide because,
yeah,
and they have, or there's investigations that are called this because there's so much violence against women. And I see what you're saying in the sense that, like, you know, people need to feel when tragedy's occurring, people need to feel like it's their backyard.
yeah,
If it's not, which in most situations, it's not your backyard where something may be happening, like you have to make them feel like, ooh, that could be my daughter, or that could be my sister, or
hmm
something like that, or I could be right there. And this is hard. I mean, I one of my friends, Paul Rosalie, and my other friend Ryan Tate, they do a lot of work in the Amazon and Africa with wildlife. It's hard to show people and get them to totally care at all times. Like, people are very interested in it, but it's hard to show them the tragedy of trees burning or elephants being
hmm
massacred, to somebody in fucking Massachusetts. It's a tough battle. For you, you're down in Mexico, and this is humans now, like where you're seeing people getting killed. But how much can the people here relate to that kind of violence at all times completely in the area? There's a lot of people in this country that can't.
That's the thing. And I think that like when everyone is going through their own shit, they're like, why should I care? And a lot of the people who are interested in watching this is like, they want something sensationalized. And I've actually had people be like, Katarina, you showing the actual dead bodies, that's bad. It's sensationalizing it. And I'm like, I'm not doing it in a sensational way. The way and my goal of showing it raw is being like, look how bad this is. This is why you should care. And this is how people are suffering. I'm not like, boom, look at this body. Isn't that fucking crazy? Yeah, it is. But the point, it should not get lost in the sauce here. The point is that, okay, like for Americans, for example, right? Like Americans, Mexico, you guys share a border. And like,
Didn't
especially
know that.
especially like with elections, with
Mm-hmm.
so much of what goes on here, Mexico and America are so intertwined. And when something like this is going on south of the border, it will always spill over, like
Yes.
no matter what.
Yes.
And whether that's like with the fentanyl crisis or like the blues and the teas, like all of this shit that we're seeing with the drugs, but with this cartel violence, like, do you really not think that there's guys who have cartel connections right probably down the street
Oh,
here?
100% there are. Yeah.
Yeah. And like all of that is connected. When I did my interview with the Sinaloa cartel guy who is based out of my home city in Vancouver, BC, and they're like running the fentanyl labs, it's just crazy to me because like that we don't share a border with Mexico. Canada's not, right? So the fact that this is so widespread, it's like a virus. And
Yes.
they're seeing this in Western Europe now too. All of this is connected, and this war that's happening in Mexico and particularly in Sinaloa, in other areas as well, these casualties are not specific to Mexico.
Yes. I think that's a great point. Now, did this Sinaloa guy you sat down with,
Yeah,
do you have that on your Instagram?
I do.
Can we pull that up real quick and see some of that?
I think it's from August.
Right. So it's on Instagram. So you had his identity
Yeah, I covered his
shaded
identity.
away.
I changed his voice, and I shot him in a silhouette.
Got it. I'll let Alessi go find that. But before he does, how did you get this guy?
Okay, so basically, I had heard that the Sinaloa cartel was running operations in Canada. They were no longer producing fentanyl in Mexico. So
They're doing it in Canada.
yeah,
Whoa.
and they're sending it south into the United States from Canada. So like fentanyl is not being really produced at all in Mexico anymore because too many people were dying and it caught too much attention. So
They moved it to Canada.
yeah, and the reason why this was like working too was because the visa requirement for Mexicans to get into Canada for the longest time, it only just recently changed, was a lot easier than for them to get in the United States. Also, it was so unsuspecting.
Yeah. It's in August, by the way, Alessi. But yeah, go ahead. It was so unsuspecting.
It was so I can show it to him.
Yeah, actually, let's help him out.
Yeah, it's him.
That's it. Okay. You want to watch this real quick?
Yeah, we can watch this.
All right, let me
and then I
turn
can
on-
explain it to you
Please.
more.
All right, you got it?
Officially made British Columbia, Canada, ground zero for domestic fentanyl production. I spoke to a Sinaloa cartel member who is running major labs across the country.
I pick up things when they are sent to me. I make sure everything is okay. I am disturbed, so to speak.
I'm a distributor.
I don't see retail, just for wholesale. The issue is getting a little dangerous because they're making pills here now. That attracts more government. They send people from Sinaloa to do it here, closer to the states that they want to reach, and the Asians get the chemicals here. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's good. Thank you, Leslie. So I knew nothing about that with Canada.
Yeah. So, and when I was reaching out to law enforcement in Canada, it was very much like if fentanyl was being produced here and like by the cartels, we would know about it. And it's like, okay, well, I'm fucking talking to this guy tomorrow. So like, he's going to take me to the lab. So
get your lab coat.
But also like a problem in Canada too. And I hate this is that, in Canada, if like police they want your source, like you have an anonymous illegal source. There's a Supreme Court precedent that was set because of like this case with like an ISIS source that now if they take you to court, you do have to reveal the source.
Oh, that's crazy.
It totally fucks it up.
Yeah, I mean that's because the whole separation. It's the fourth estate. It's supposed to be its own thing, like its own. And some people could run with this the wrong way, but its own form of governance in its way.
Yes,
that's supposed in an ideal world supposed to represent the people.
And
wow.
If that ever happened to me, like, and I tell my sources this, like, I would fight tooth and nail, and I like delete everything afterwards because I'm like, no way. If you're gonna try to get me, like, be so fucking for real right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, I'm not a cop. What do I have to do with this?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was told early this year that like fentanyl was really not being produced at all in Mexico, and I'm like, okay, well, so then what's happening? Because fentanyl is a huge problem in the United States and Canada. And like particularly in Canada, in Vancouver, like more people died of overdoses from opiates from fentanyl than during COVID. It was like a huge deal. Our provincial health officer cried about it in one of her pressers about COVID. And she got choked up. She's like, so many people are dying from these drug overdoses.
Horrible.
It was so bad. And it's always been a problem, especially in Vancouver, but the fentanyl like really exacerbated the problem. Anyways, I find this out. I asked someone like, do you know, like, is there any way we can get a source who's doing it?
What kind of person are you asking that?
Someone who has really good sources and there was a good chance that he could find me someone that's in this because he finds a lot of sources and he's a trusted person. And also he knew how to tell these people that I'm a trusted person, that I'm not a rat. So, because sometimes also like going into something like this, if they don't know me, like I've had actually very good luck getting sources. And like we were just talking about this, that I don't judge, and I'm not gonna go and like, yeah, it's just the way that I roll. Anyways, so I'm like, is there anyone, whatever? And he's like, okay, actually this guy reached out to me telling me that he is with Sinaloa cartel and running operations for them, but he's going to end it soon. Like he's going to go back to Mexico. Like he's done because shit's heating up because of the pills.
Oh, and the operations.
Like he's not going to be involved in it anymore. It's still happening.
Yeah.
But this guy was like willing to talk about it.
Why do you think he was willing to talk about it?
I think that there's like sometimes a level of guilt, and because like Mexico's a very Catholic country, so I could be dead.
No, you're 100%
I mean, this is
right.
what I've observed.
It's just funny.
Is that when you know, a lot of people will really do anything for money, especially if it's a lot of money, especially if it's fast money. But that doesn't mean that these people's conscience don't catch up to them, because especially if they've grown up in like this very religious way and they're seeing people dying constantly. I mean, one thing is to kill the guy who's like in your, your rival cartel. Another thing is to be like, I'm making drugs that are killing thousands of people like on a monthly basis. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was part of it. I also think that he just knew this information was strong and he was going to be getting out of it soon. Like he was going back to Mexico and I was looking for this information. So anyways, we start talking on like one of the apps, and
What's that conversation like? Like, hey, fellow Sinaloa friend. Like,
it's actually pretty chill. I'm like, I'm not like, hello, how are you? This is Katarina Szulc. Like,
I'm with CBC.
Yeah, no, I'm usually like, hey, compa, qué rollo? Like, what's up? I heard you're doing some shit. You want to tell me about it? Like, it's really just, I try to keep it super cash. And they're like, yeah, actually. And then it's like a fucking 12-minute voice note. I'm like, what they're doing.
You just take out the recorder, boop, boop, boop.
No, literally. But I love going in person though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's literally like, okay, so blah, blah, blah. And like this source had actually sent this voice note like in spring talking about how, the Sinaloa cartel needs money because they're going to grab the Theo, they called him, which is El Mayo. They're like, they're going to take him away and
whoa. He was telling you El Mayo's about to go on the chopping block.
Yeah, months before it happened.
What?
Yeah. I'm not smiling because it's good. It's like, yeah, it was crazy.
You didn't run with that?
I couldn't. Like, how am I supposed to fucking verify that? I'm telling you.
I mean, you're looking at me like I know. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's like, I mean, whoa.
But after that happened, I was like, wow, this source is legit. Because he literally said in Spanish, he's like, I have the voice note, but he was like,
oh, it was in a voice note.
I can't play it though.
I know you can't play it. That's just funny. It was in a voice note.
Yeah, right? Crazy.
Fucking guy couldn't text it. We could at least have a screenshot right now.
And also, like the way people from Sinaloa talk, I have trouble sometimes understanding because it's very much like not like that. So I'm like, fuck, like, and so I'm like listening to it over and over again.
You're like, did he just say what I think he said?
Yeah, basically, and it's like, yeah. So they're doing the pills and everything now because they need to generate money because they're gonna grab the uncle and they know they need money because in order to do this type of war that's going on right now, you need money. You need to hire a shit ton of people who are lookouts, who are sicarios, who are like runners and like just you literally need an army, right?
Yeah.
So they needed money and he's like, they're gonna grab the uncle and blah blah. I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
I was kind of like, okay, because everything else he told me added up, right? And that's why I ran with it anonymously because typically I won't do anonymous shit. But because what I can smell bullshit from a mile away. So if I felt like his information didn't add up, I would never have run with it, and especially not anonymously. But what he was saying, it was just, yep. And so I did my due diligence too. I went on the street, like there's the street East Hastings. It's like our version of Skid Row, where it's like a lot of drugs, a lot of illegal stuff, a lot of homelessness. And I was like asking around, and people are like, "Yep." And I'm like, "Okay, but like, are you seeing these types of pills? And are you seeing these types of guys?"
I thought you were asking around if they knew anything about El Mayo being taken.
Oh my god!
Yeah, totally, man.
That would be so bad. I can't
You're
believe
like,
you think like that.
I verified it through some homeless people.
Thanks. You really hold me in high regard. That's great.
I'm just fucking with you. It's all good.
No, I went to kind of check out like what the drug trade was looking like, and there are some people there. They've been there for so long, and they're such high functioning addicts that like you can go and be like, "Hey, is this going on in this building across the blah blah?" And they'll be like, "Listen, like this is what I know."
Yeah.
And because I've been involved in that community reporting for so long. Well, in my terms, and like I was really involved. There's quite a few people there that like they'll tell me, you know, and that it's good. And they know that I'm not going to do anything stupid with whatever they tell me.
Yeah. You
So-
build trust.
Yeah, of course. So anyways, then this guy's telling me, you know, we've got this going on. And because like I said, it was a lot easier to send guys to Canada than it was to the States because of the
That's
visa.
wild, though.
And because of refugee status. So like a ton of these guys that are running the operations, they're on refugee status. And get this, some of them have even got thrown in the bin. Like they've been in jail for
they
like
let 'em
drugs.
out.
Yeah, and they're
Oh my
still there.
God. Oh my God.
And some of them for violent charges.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.